Picture a cobblestone street in Rome. The sun is just starting to set. There's this faint smell of fresh espresso in the air, and you are just completely soaking in the magic of the moment.
Oh, that sounds perfect.
Right. But then, suddenly, the peace is totally shattered by a fellow tourist making an absolute scene at a nearby cafe.
That's the worst.
You cringe, and you think to yourself, I would never do that. But here is the terrifying truth. According to some new data, there's a 50% chance that you have actually been that exact embarrassment to someone else.
It's the ultimate fear for anyone who loves to travel. That sudden, horrifying realization that you might be the punchline to a local's travel horror story.
Yeah.
We're pulling from a really fascinating survey by Radical Storage today, and it shows that this isn't just some irrational late-night anxiety.
The numbers in the survey are honestly staggering. Get this, 62% of Americans surveyed have been actively embarrassed by the behavior of someone they were traveling with.
That is tough.
It is. But the statistic that really kept me up last night, a full 50% admit they have been embarrassed by their own behavior while abroad. Half of us.
Which really reframes the entire conversation, doesn't it?
Totally.
We're just talking about a few, malicious people intentionally causing trouble in foreign countries. We're looking at widespread accidental rudeness.
Yeah, people who generally mean well.
Exactly. People who mean well, but are somehow missing these crucial cultural cues the second they cross a border.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because it is so incredibly easy to commit a faux pas when you are in that hazy, carefree vacation mode.
Oh, for sure.
So the mission for our deep dive today is to really get into the weeds on this. We want to identify the specific behaviors that create the dreaded, rude tourist stereotype, figure out the single root cause behind all of them, and most importantly, give you, the listener, the actual tools to avoid accidental international embarrassment.
Right.
So where do we even start with fixing something that's so deeply ingrained in how we travel?
Well, we have to start by looking at the psychological root of why these behaviors happen in the first place.
Okay.
Before we get into the specific things people do wrong, we really need to understand the mindset shift that occurs when we go on vacation. In the materials we're looking at today, etiquette expert Liza Mirza Grottts.
Right, the author of A Traveler's Passport to Etiquette in a Post-Pandemic World.
That's the one. She identifies the absolute worst travel behavior. It's basically the core seed from which all other travel sins grow.
Ooh, let me guess. Is it taking your iPad to the beach and playing movies at full volume? Because that drives me absolutely crazy.
As annoying as that is, Grottts says the root cause goes much deeper. She calls it being unaware in shared spaces.
Unaware in shared spaces.
Yeah. It is the act of making yourself the main character in every single scenario, whether you are in an airport or a hotel lobby, a crowded restaurant, a museum. It's that complete disregard for the local environment and the people who actually live there.
Ah, so it is main character syndrome on a global scale.
Exactly. And the danger of that syndrome is that it is a fundamental failure of empathy. It's a failure to recognize that the beautiful, exotic tourist destination you're visiting is actually someone else's mundane, everyday reality. It's their commute to work, their quick grocery run, their local neighborhood.
Right.
When you operate with a lack of consideration in those shared spaces, you inherently come across as rude. Every other major faux pas we are going to discuss today stems directly from this one specific mindset.
Believing the world is just a backdrop for your vacation.
Exactly.
I hear that, but I have to push back a little bit here.
Okay, go for it.
Think about it from the traveler's perspective. When you save up for a trip for 5 years, you meticulously plan every single detail, you finally take the time off work. Isn't it kind of natural to feel like it is your special moment? It is a huge, rare milestone for you.
It is a milestone for you, yes. Definitely. But the psychological trap is assuming that because the moment is special to you, the physical space you are occupying to celebrate it somehow belongs to you.
Oh, wow. Okay, it makes me think of a theater production.
How so?
Well, traveling with that main character mindset is like walking onto a live theater stage right in the middle of a play. You just wander around the set, treating the working actors like they are just props for your personal selfie.
Right.
Completely ignoring the fact that they have a job to do, a script to follow, and lives outside of your photo op. You think the stage was built for your entertainment, but there is actually a whole production happening around you that has nothing to do with you.
That is a perfect analogy. You are stepping onto their stage. And if you truly believe you are the star of the show in a foreign country, you naturally expect the supporting cast, the locals, to cater to your script.
And that entitlement leads directly to the first major behavioral misstep, right?
Yes. Expecting everyone to speak your language.
Oh, man. This is a big one. And it is, so physically uncomfortable to witness in person.
It really is. Дэниела Ggrainger, the founder of Ranking Atlas, makes a really poignant observation about this dynamic.
What does he say?
He notes that when you simply assume everyone will speak English, the message you are silently sending to the local person is that their language, their culture, and their home simply isn't worth 5 minutes of your time on Google Translate.
Ouch. When you frame it like that, it sounds incredibly arrogant. It's basically saying your entire cultural history isn't worth a quick app download to me.
Exactly. Grainger actually grew up in multiple countries, so he has watched this play out globally. He specifically mentions observing American tourists walking into a quiet shop in Prague or a busy, chaotic market in Ho Chi Minh City.
And what do?
They just start speaking English at full volume, at full speed.
And when the local shop owner inevitably doesn't understand this rapid-fire English, the tourist just gets louder.
Yes. It's an aggressive response to a situation they themselves created. They are entirely unaware in that shared space.
When you just speak louder English to a confused shopkeeper, it's like going to a foreign website and aggressively clicking your mouse harder and harder instead of just hitting the translate button.
Oh, that's exactly it.
Volume doesn't rewrite the code.
Right.
You are just wearing out your mouse and annoying everyone in the room.
So true. So how do you hit the translate button in real life?
Grainger
says the fix is incredibly simple, but entirely transformative. Learn a few local phrases.
Right.
He points out that offering a clumsy xin chào, which is hello in Vietnam, or a totally butchered dobry den good day in Prague, completely changes the dynamic.
It does.
It shifts you from being that entitled tourist extracting an experience to being a guest showing respect.
Because it requires vulnerability. You are acknowledging their reality and showing that you are the guest on their stage.
Exactly.
But that entitlement of expecting your own language doesn't stop at words. It bleeds into expecting the physical comforts and the social volumes of your home country to just magically follow you wherever you go.
Yes, which brings us to the concept of taking up space, both audibly and physically.
Right.
When you refuse to adapt to the local environment, you basically force the environment to adapt to you.
I'll admit I am completely guilty of the audible part of this.
Really?
Oh, yeah. The sources had some sharp insights on complaining. And Mary Jane Kyler, who is an archaeologist and a tour leader, pointed out how unbelievably rude it is to loudly complain in public spaces about how the local offerings don't match your hometown.
Yes.
I have definitely fallen into the trap of complaining about a 2-hour dinner in Paris, totally forgetting that European dining is intricately designed to be a slow, hours-long social event, not a fast food transaction.
It is a perfect example of lacking situational awareness. Kyler advises that if you absolutely must complain or compare, you save it for private spaces.
Keep it in the hotel room.
Exactly. Do not sit in a beautiful, authentic trattoria in Rome and loudly announce that the pasta isn't as good as the chain restaurant back in Ohio.
Please don't.
Do not stand on a stunning, rugged coastline in Greece and complain that the beaches in Florida have softer sand. The locals take immense pride in that food and that coastline.
But wait, isn't noticing the differences between cultures the whole point of travel? If we just pretend everything is exactly the same, why even leave home? Where exactly is the line between making a valid cultural observation and just being a complaining, rude tourist?
This raises a really important question, and the distinction really lies in your intention and your volume.
Okay.
Observation is internalizing a difference, reflecting on it, and appreciating the variety. Complaining is broadcasting your dissatisfaction that the world does not cater to your specific preferences.
Got it.
And volume is the dead giveaway here. Brooke Morrison, a travel expert known as Jet Set Brooke, has a brilliant rule of thumb. If you are the loudest person in the room, you're usually the rude one.
The loudest person in the room is the rude one. That is such a good anchor to keep in mind, especially for Americans, because our baseline cultural volume is just generally higher.
It is. And in many countries, quieter public behavior isn't just a personal preference. It is the absolute cultural norm.
Right.
Morrison points to countries like Japan, Finland, Korea, and Switzerland. Let's look at Japan, for instance. The culture places a massive emphasis on the concept of wa, which translates to social harmony and peaceful unity.
Right, so public spaces are shared sanctuaries.
Exactly. If you bring a booming, boisterous energy onto a quiet train in Kyoto, you aren't just being annoying. You are actively disrupting the cultural fabric of harmony. You are forcing your cultural volume onto their shared space.
So the fix here is what Liza Mirza Grotts called putting on your situational awareness cap. Morrison says the formula is dial it down, observe first, then match the room.
Yes.
You walk in, you pause for a second, you read the vibe, and you calibrate yourself to fit into their puzzle rather than forcing them to fit around you.
You don't have to erase your personality, but you do have to modulate it out of respect for the shared space.
But taking up acoustic space is almost quaint now, right?
What do you mean?
Well, the ultimate way to claim ownership over a space today isn't to talk over it. It is to capture it through a lens. We take their everyday reality and literally crop it to fit our social media grids.
Oh, absolutely. The modern urge to turn the entire world into a content machine is perhaps the most pervasive issue we face today.
Yeah.
It's this constant tension between the desire to capture a memory and the reality of intruding on someone else's sacred everyday life.
The sources absolutely acknowledge that it is natural to want to take photos. I mean, if you're seeing baby turtles hatching on a beach in Trinidad, or you are cruising past giant icebergs in the Arctic, or watching this insane cotton candy pink sunset in Thailand, you are going to pull your phone out.
Of course you are.
Yeah.
But Alexandra Dubakova from Free Tour issues a really strong warning about the human element of this.
Right.
She says that treating everything and everyone as content is deeply disrespectful.
Right.
She gives a very specific example regarding the Amazigh people in Morocco.
The indigenous groups in North Africa, right?
Yes. In their culture, discretion and community privacy are highly valued, historically serving as a way to protect their communities from outsiders.
Okay.
If a tourist walks up and starts photographing a colorful vendor display in the market without asking permission or buying anything, it's considered highly rude.
Yeah.
You are treating their livelihood, their daily grind, as if it is just a free museum exhibit put on for your amusement.
Oh, wow. Amanda Percy, the founder of the Getaway Catholic, echoes this perfectly. She says it is a major red flag when a traveler moves through a place as if it exists solely for them.
Totally.
It feels like we sometimes travel just to gather evidence that we were there rather than actually being there.
What's fascinating here is how the smartphone lens actively facilitates this main character syndrome.
How so?
Well, the camera creates a literal physical barrier between the tourist and the environment. When you view a community purely through a screen, it artificially separates you from the reality of the people living there.
Oh, that makes sense.
It numbs your empathy. It makes it dangerously easy to forget that you aren't on a movie set. You are standing in someone's home.
So the experts recommend putting the camera down and letting the community naturally move around you. Listen to the locals regarding privacy. Because sometimes filming isn't just a cultural faux pas. It can actually be illegal or a major safety issue.
Definitely. And you know, if failing to respect a culture's privacy through a camera lens is the great modern faux pas, then disrespecting them physically through our clothing and our actions at sacred sites is the ancient one.
Oh, definitely.
Visual disrespect speaks volumes before we even open our mouths.
Both Grotts and Morrison point out that wearing clothes that are in direct opposition to local norms is a massive broadcasting of disrespect. The classic example is the Vatican in Italy.
Oh, yes.
There are very clear, well-documented expectations there regarding covering your shoulders and knees. Showing up in a tank top and shorts isn't just a fashion mistake. It tells everyone around you that your personal comfort is more important than the sanctity of their religious space.
And it goes beyond just what we wear. It's also how we interact with the physical environment itself. Let's revisit that radical storage report from the beginning.
Okay.
It found that a third of Americans admit they have posed inappropriately with a statue while traveling.
A third. That means 1 in 3 people listening to this right now might have a highly regrettable photo with a monument somewhere on their camera roll.
Yep. And sometimes this rudeness is entirely unintentional, born from a lack of deep cultural understanding.
Like what?
A prime example is in Thailand. It is highly offensive to point your feet at a Buddha statue.
Which seems completely arbitrary to an outsider until you understand the why behind it.
Exactly. In Thai Buddhist culture, the body is viewed as a spiritual hierarchy. The head is the most sacred, elevated part of the body, and the feet, being the lowest point and constantly touching the dirt, are considered physically and spiritually unclean. So when a tired tourist sits down to rest, stretches their legs out, and accidentally points the soles of their feet at a Buddha, they are committing a major offense. It is the cultural equivalent of throwing garbage on an altar.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. It isn't just the obvious grand cathedrals or giant bronze statues you have to watch out for.
Yeah.
The sources bring up outdoor sites that might not even look sacred to an untrained tourist eye. For example, in Hawaii, you might be hiking and come across a stack of rocks in a clearing.
Right.
To a visitor, it just looks like nature. You might think it is a cool place to take a picture, or maybe you even want to add your own rock to the pile.
But doing so would be a profound violation.
Because that stack of rocks could actually be a he, which is an ancient traditional Hawaiian temple or shrine.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, in Hawaiian culture, these sites possess mana or spiritual power. Moving rocks, walking on them, or leaving trash isn't just messing with nature. It is desecrating a deeply sacred cultural artifact.
Which highlights exactly why research is non-negotiable. You cannot rely solely on your own cultural assumptions to tell you what is or isn't sacred.
So true.
You have to investigate dress codes and behavioral norms not just for the country, but for specific regions. Clothing norms in a cosmopolitan capital city are often vastly different from a rural village or a specific religious compound.
So the fix here is to err heavily on the side of respect. If you aren't sure, overdress rather than underdress.
Yes.
Pay attention to the subtle signage of the people around you. If the locals are taking off their shoes, take off your shoes. If they are speaking in whispers, lower your voice. And if you are out in nature, stick strictly to the trails, never remove rocks, and never leave rubbish.
It all returns to Grotts's initial diagnosis. If the disease is being unaware in shared spaces, the ultimate antidote to the rude American stereotype is essentially a heavy, deliberate dose of awareness and gratitude.
One of the most practical pieces of advice from the sources to help cultivate that deep awareness is to hire a licensed local guide.
Oh, that's a great idea.
When you spend actual time with someone who intimately knows a place, who can explain the history of the heiau, the spiritual hierarchy of the Buddha, and the daily realities of the market, it completely shatters that artificial tourist bubble.
Definitely.
You stop seeing the destination as a playground and start seeing it as a living, breathing community.
Mary Jane Kyler also offers a wonderful piece of advice about actively expressing your admiration. Don't just hold your appreciation in. Tell the locals how much you love their host country.
I love that.
Compliment the food, admire the landscape, praise the architecture. People genuinely love to know that you see the beauty in their home. It flips the entire dynamic from extracting value for your social media feed to adding warmth to their community.
It is about being an active participant in a positive exchange rather than a passive consumer of a destination. Liza Mirza Grottts summarized the entire philosophy with one perfect sentence. Just because you're on vacation doesn't mean your manners should take one, too.
Manners are the foundation of shared spaces. They do not require a passport to function.
So, as we wrap up this deep dive, I want to leave you with something to chew on. We have spent all this time talking about the intense situational awareness, the meticulous research, the deep respect for cultural history, and the modulated volume we are supposed to practice when we travel abroad and step onto someone else's stage.
It takes a lot of mental energy to be a good guest.
It really does. But here is the question. If traveling abroad forces us to practice hyper-awareness and deep respect for shared spaces, why don't we apply that exact same level of situational awareness to our own local coffee shops, our grocery stores, and our own neighborhoods back home?
This raises an important question. Are we accidentally being rude tourists in our own hometowns?
Next time you are walking down your own street and you see someone being loud, lacking empathy, and acting like the main character in the grocery checkout line, before you cringe at them, take a breath. Make sure you aren't the one making a scene on your own home stage.